Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for those of you that watched and subscribed to the last video. I did get some really nice messages and text messages from friends and family, and I did want to read one of them in particular from my good friend Carlos. He texted, "Hey Jared, awesome video, man, but I gotta say, you looked so pale. Like you haven't seen the sun since 2003. Anyway, great work."
Bruh.
Thanks, Carlos. I don't know that we needed 5 so's, and that last so had like a bunch of extra O's on it. Like, that felt like a little bit of overkill, but I appreciate you watching the channel, and I hope this video is as entertaining and gets another like out of you. As you guys know, normally ChatGPT will provide a character script, and that's what I'll draw. However, we had a commenter leave this message. It says, "Hey Jared, can you please draw a black and white Basset Hound wearing a cowboy hat?" I think we can do that. Now, I gotta be honest with you, Courtney. I am gonna change it a little bit just because I drip black and white, and for some reason, just black and white's a little boring for me. I wanted to throw some color in there, but I'm gonna give you a Basset Hound wearing a cowboy hat. And if you're watching this and you like the video, you like the content, please leave comments of what you want to see drawn. And again, it might get selected next video, or maybe if we have multiple submissions, I'll just create kind of a collage and we'll put some lettering work to tie it all together. It'll be fun. But I hope you guys enjoy the video, and please leave a comment. Thanks. All right, guys, so we're in here starting our sketching phase, and I quickly realized I had an idea of what a Basset Hound was, but also I had no idea what a Basset Hound was. So I decided to spend a little time doing a little image search on Google, and I found this super adorable photo of this little Basset Hound puppy. Look at that. And then I found this one of this little older one with the wrinkles, and his eyes are closed, and oh my God, it's got a butterfly on its nose, and I spent the next hour I lost it. Yeah. Not very productive at all. How does anybody do any work in 2025 when at any point you can just Google adorable photos of baby dogs? But anyway, let's get back to it. I kind of found what I wanted to do with the dog. I wanted it to be really wrinkly, so that's why the cheeks are really droopy, and I wanted him to have a fat little belly, little pouch. You know, he's kind of an older dog, you know, so he's put on a couple pounds over the years, but he can still get the job done when he needs to. So we're jumping into our vector line work right now, and some of the feedback I've gotten from some of my friends that have watched the video that aren't into art, they don't do any drawing on iPads or, you know, Procreate or any of these applications, but they were kind of asking me, like, what are you doing specifically in terms, like, here, like I'm stretching the face, right? Or when I do vector trimming, like, how does that work? So I'm kicking around the idea of, I wouldn't say like a how-to video, but maybe just explaining some of these features, because I do think there's a lot of people out there that have iPads and they have the ability to download Fresco. It's 100% free. And even if you're just kind of doodling on your own, like, you know, you're not looking to make a YouTube video or become a professional artist, you're just looking for something to do, you know, while you're laying in bed watching a show. I think there are some really cool features in here that could make people kind of maybe find their passion for art. So I'm thinking the next video might be something around those lines, but let me know in the comment section if you would even care to see anything like that. So I'm continuing my line work here, and I realized that one of his hands has 4 fingers, the other one has 3, and I did the same thing with the feet, you know, with the toes. Do dogs have toes? Are those called toes? I'm not sure. I know they're like really short and stubby, but one of them had 3, the other one had 4. So I decided to let's go ahead and go with 4, and let's throw some just, you know, basic nails, nothing crazy on it, and kind of finish out the outer part of the drawing. And then I started working on the eyes here, and I really wanted to make sure that I gave him like these half open eyes, not necessarily sleepy eyes. It's like the Sydney Sweeney eyes, and that's I don't say that in an insulting way. It's just every time I see her, her eyes are kind of like halfway open, like that. You know, maybe he's trying to get into acting or something. Who knows? But that was the look I kind of wanted to go for there. Jumping into my coloring here, and one of the dilemmas I had at the beginning of the video was Courtney asked for a black and white Basset Hound, but even in the stock photos that I showed at the beginning, all of them had this brown color involved, and brown was predominantly the color on most of them, so I really wanted to lean into that color for this piece. The biggest issue I had, honestly, was the color of the cowboy hat, because traditionally in movies and television, cowboys that wear dark colored hats or black hats, they're the bad guys, and the good guys wear the light colored hats. But I kind of ran into a little bit of a problem where it was too much of the same type color if I did it with a light brown color. So ultimately, I decided to just roll the dice and go with the black cowboy hat with a little bit of a red bandana on it. But I did want to point out this specific dog, his name is Howdy Longpaw. And for the record, Howdy Longpaw is a good guy, not a bad guy, okay? Don't you forget it. I started to look at my piece here and I realized he's too smooth, and so I kind of wanted to give him some jagged edges just to kind of sell the idea that he has fur, right? He's a dog. But one thing I noticed, and maybe I can touch on this on my next video when I kind of discuss about vector art and trimming and all this stuff, is I messed up a little bit, so I wasn't able to use the vector trimming anymore, but I didn't want to have to start over either. So what you're seeing here is kind of me adding the jagged edges, but doing it the hard way, essentially. But I got it done. It just took a little bit longer. Again, I think in the next video I can describe what happened, and maybe you can avoid doing my mistake here. So now I decided to go ahead and start doing some custom lettering here. I had an idea in my head of how I wanted his first name Howdy to look. I kind of wanted it, kind of be like this cursive font, but also tie in a lasso since he is a cowboy after all. But the first step is always just sketch out, the basic lining of it, right? I think a lot of people get hung up on their sketches not looking good, and your sketches shouldn't look good. I can't sell that enough. Stop getting worried about what that initial sketch looks like. That's why it's called a sketch. So as you can see, I just quickly scribbled out Howdy, and then I went in, bolded the lines, hid my sketch, and now I can use the distort tool to kind of morph it a little bit the way I want, and then add the lasso at the end. So I thought it turned out pretty good. Again, I even used the distort again to kind of pull it a little bit more inwards. But I really like the way that turned out. And then for the bottom half, for the long paw, I kind of wanted to use one of those like old Western fonts, and Fresco has a ton of really good options. I could have tried to come up with something manually, but I feel like that would have took me a really, really long time. And for some reason, those like Western fonts are hard for me to kind of reproduce. So ultimately decided to just go ahead and use an existing stock font, and then I could add my custom effects to it later. So here I've added a drop shadow to long paw, but one thing that I always look for when I see a drop shadow done in an ad is, did they connect the edges? And I don't know, it could be just a weird quirk of mine, but I prefer to have the edges touching. I don't always do it, but if I have the time, I'm gonna do it. So that's what you're seeing me do here. It's pretty simple. You just lower your opacity of your top layer. That way you're connecting dot to dot, and then you go in and fill it. The most important part though is you have to close the loop, otherwise when you go to paint it black, the black is going to escape and cover the whole canvas. As you're seeing here, the screen's flicking black. It means I didn't quite close the loop, but I was able to go ahead and get this finished, get it to look exactly the way I want, and see, I just feel like that looks a lot better than having it just hang over. But the last thing I did here is I wanted to add a type of like texture to the long paw part, so you're just kind of seeing me experiment with some, but ultimately I found one that I really, really like. At this point in the video, I would normally put up what ChatGPT drew and compare it to mine. However, this prompt came from a viewer, so I'm going to skip that this time. Also, if I'm being honest, I did ask ChatGPT to create an image of a Basset Hound wearing a cowboy hat, and this is what it gave me. I mean, come on. I would have been cooked. Look how freaking cute that thing is. It's not... My version is the old version of that. Let's just put it that way. Alright guys, that's the end of this video. If you're still watching, thank you so much for your support. Please leave a comment if there's something you want to see drawn. It doesn't matter how silly it is. I know this channel's supposed to be AI creating the prompts and me drawing it, but if there's one thing that I am pro in 2025, it is I am pro human beings taking AI's jobs. So with that being said, y'all have a good day. I'll see you next week.